Alright, we're here to tweak a Proline, Tudor Proline base. This is a fast one, and I'm going to put this up to the camera here. You can see how small the prongs are there, versus a strong base which has much wider prongs. So we're not going to do the strong one today, we're going to do the fast one. And what I'm going to do is I've got these custom painted big men. I've got the 1940s Redskins, I got the 1920s Bears, and this is the 1948 Eagles. So the Eagles figure, I've got a little piece of putty here, so it's obvious. This guy's up to a 4-gram weight. These guys will come in substantially less. So just to show you the 4-gram weight versus a standard Invisibase, which may be 3/4 of a gram lighter. So the heavier one will tend to win. Neither one of these is tweaked. They're both pretty decent. This is an untweaked fast Proline base, and he gets smushed by that guy, and he'll even get smushed by this guy based on... Yeah, so he's not doing that well. Again, he's got the rounded front, you see. He's losing the pushing contest. He was able to squirt away, not moving that fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with the Wubbers pliers. These are the wide Wubbers. These are the ones that I mentioned on the website I'm kind of upset with because they advertise them as 7mm jaw width. I checked their website, it says 6.2. And if I push this on here, you'll see if I just barely cover that, it's barely 5. I mean, it's 5, maybe 5.5. That's it. Which is good enough for this. I was just hoping to get some 7mm pliers. So what I'm going to do is, again, the Proline base of 2, 4, 6, 8 prongs. I'm just going to grab the prongs and squeeze. And I'm squeezing medium hard. And I'm going squeeze, squeeze, and then I'm going to go back and hit the first ones. I do 2 squeezes at a time. And I mean, I've got pressure on here, and I'm going pretty much all the way down to the base. Now the back ones I'm going to squeeze a little bit harder even. And also as I'm squeezing at the tip, pulling, going to midpoint, coming here, I'm also pulling a little bit. One of the tricks to making a stronger base is to make the rear higher than the front. If I were to make the back ones longer, you'd be sitting up like this, and that tends to give it more of a downhill run and consequently makes them a little stronger. So now the thing with tweaking, we're going to get into tweaking other techniques, tweaking with heat, for example, which will help set the prongs better. Because right now I'm tweaking it, but it's like pulling a rubber band, right? I mean, you pull a rubber band, it gets big, and then it snaps back. Same with the prongs. You tweak them, they don't go all the way back, but they do tend to revert back to some extent to where they were before. So what I tend to do is tweak prongs, twice, maybe 3 times a day apart. And even here, you see I'm going back over. I see my prongs are a little bit misaligned. This is where I'm going to take out my Xuron 485 FNs and hit each prong individually. So this is seriously counter. You can't press very hard with these. One, I've actually broken one right here. They're not that thick. You're not pressing that strongly. And the reason you don't press that strongly is because it flattens these out like, it turns them into cellophane practically. And at some point, if you press too hard, they do turn into just little sheets of green plastic, and they're worthless. Because if you make it too thin, the player's not going to be able to stand up. This flat part of the base does not touch the field. If it does, your base isn't going to, or your figure's not going to move. So if the prongs are so thin they collapse, that's what you get when you tweak too hard. Now what I'm going to do is the same way how you pull a ribbon on a Christmas package to make it curl up. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pull it, but I'm going to pull, and I'm going to put more friction on the inside so that the base prongs curl back. So you see they actually just kind of came back, because you want the bases to point towards the rear of the base, right? I mean, if the prongs are straight up and down, the figure is going to bounce up and down. If the prongs are angled like so, then the base will move forward. If I put the prongs this way, obviously the base will move backwards. So I'm going to go for an angle like roughly like this, in the front and the back, of course. Now what I'm going to do, since there's typically the manufacturing process leaves flashing on the prongs, I'm going to hit them with a lighter just very lightly. I'm going to start it up over on the side and just move it across back and forth. And I'm going to go back with my wide pliers and just squeeze it one more time. And you don't want to linger with a fire over your prongs because it will just melt them. Actually, it melted that first one. This is why I'm also not that good on the fast prongs, because they're smaller and they end up taking it. You see how this one melted and it's shorter? I'm going to try to pull it and make it a little bit longer so it meets up with the other guy. They're much more delicate. I'm going to hit this more with a lighter, try to level these out. Okay, I got this one is a little bit shorter. I'm trying to make them about the same length, because if they're not the same length, one's going to touch, and one prong's going to touch the one right next to it's not. So, all right, let's see how he runs. He runs like ass. All right, that was not the greatest run, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to curl these guys a little bit. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a base that runs smoothly and quickly. And I really don't care if it runs straight or not. You don't want every base to be a straight runner. Let's see. Okay, now let's see. Nope, not particularly fast at all. Let me hit him up with the, got a little hair on there. Let me hit him up with the lighter again, try to level out the prongs. Let's see if that did it. Yeah, a lot faster. Got to curl to the side. Let's see. Strength fight, it wasn't too bad, actually. He held his ground against the Invisibase, so that's encouraging. He's a little bit spastic on getting off the line here. Let's hit it again with a lighter here. I think what was making him spastic is this one prong just wanted to curl up. This it was along the front. It was prong number 2 on the inside here, and it was just curling up. Problem is, once it curls up, sometimes when it curls up, you're done. Not much you can do with it. So we'll see if I resurrected that one. Okay. Oh yeah, he's smoking fast now. He was smoking fast. He's okay. I like it. So now what I'm going to do, I will want to get him up to 4 grams, which is the typical weight for a TOC tournament. He actually is weighing in at 278, which is very light. Okay, so I got some putty here. It's going to get up to about 3.94. Just want to measure these 2 blobs here. Okay, so what I've done is I've just gotten these 2 blobs. This is just the blue putty. This one actually has some yellow colored putty and some tungsten putty that I had. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on either side of this base. So I'm going to roll it up into a little hot dog and put it here. And the reason I'm doing this is the same reason they do golf clubs this way. When you hit it here, all the weight is all around it, and so being off a little bit, it tends to be more forgiving. The harder clubs, what they call the forged irons, have a lot of the weight right here, on the back of the club. So if you don't hit dead on center, your club twists and the ball goes nowhere. So these tend to be more forgiving, and that's the same concept that I'm using there on the base. I'm trying to put the weight more to the side. So it tends to give them a little bit more stability. So it's really not a fair fight. The Invisibase isn't a full 4-0. So he's out of picture. He tends to scoop pretty fast here. So I also want to see how he does against this weighted Invisibase. Here. Not as strong, but he bounced off very nicely. So just coincidentally, I happen to have built a different base, same kind of a concept. I didn't have the problems with the prongs that I did in this video. So here's one that actually, scoots pretty fast as well. I don't know why he's being erratic right now, but he's actually a pretty strong one too. So actually, if I put him this way, hopefully he won't latch arms with this guy, but you see in the initial push, he's actually holding his own against the weighted Invisibase. So these guys are both 4 grams. Yeah, it's unfortunate I'm using the same shaped figure. They're holding hands as they separate. But this guy's doing a good job of squirting away. So at this point, you've got 2 guys that are certainly able to outrun these Invisibases. Here, the 2 Tudor bases, and here are the 2 Invisibases. That's not even a contest. Anyway, that's the Tudor Fast Proline.